Ready? We good? All right, so I'm gonna explain a little bit about this device. It's called the Proteus Motion, and just a quick story real fast. I learned about this from a strength coach named Eric Cressy. He's the most successful strength coach probably for baseball in the private sector in the world. He's so good that New York Yankees even hired him. So that's how I learned about the device. And one thing that this device does and that solved for a problem that I noticed that I had was rotational strength. So I wasn't super satisfied with the tools that I have at my disposal to train rotational strength adequately. So that was one of the big reasons why I got this, but this does so many things. So what I want to show today is we have a athlete who I'm going to show you his first initial assessment we did on this, and then a couple of days ago we had him do it again to reassess to see what kind of progress he was making, and then we were going to use the data to dictate how we should train him. So that's what we're going to do. So we got him here, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to his history here, and this is the last one we did. This was on June 27th, so we're going to go to the first one he did, and that was on May 15th. So really not even that long ago, what, about a month and a half, give or take. So now when we click on it, okay, again, this is the first time we did an assessment with this guy, and he's a high school hockey player. So if you notice his overall power score, it was 32nd percent. His acceleration was 27th percent. And his Proteus score, which is like a coefficient of how strong you are relevant to your body weight, was 36%, okay? And those are based off of the cohorts that we entered based off of him and his size, height, weight, all that stuff like that, like 18 to 25, height, all that stuff. So those are the cohorts. So now this is one of my favorite parts of this assessment. This is a force velocity profile, okay? So when he first did this test, he had, 5 areas right here that he showed he needed to get stronger in. Basically, if you're over here, this is what they call low foundational strength. So essentially what that means is you just got to get the athlete stronger. And then he had 2 things over here where he didn't have a deficiency in strength, but he was strength dominant, okay? So that means he was strong, but he wasn't expressing his strength as fast as he should, fast enough. If he was strong and he expressed his strength fast enough, he would be over here on high strength and speed. And ideally, you want everything to shift over into this green section as much as possible. Okay, so that was his first one. So now let's exit out of there. Oops, wrong thing. Let's exit out of there. And now let's go to his current one, and that is here. So now, as you can see, everything's going up because of the improvement. So now he's in the 57th percentile for power, 44th percentile for acceleration, 62nd percentile for his overall Proteus score, again, which is a coefficient, size, like weight to strength ratios. And now if we go to his insights, the force velocity profile, again, now as you can see, a lot has changed. He had 5 things that were low foundational strength. Now he's only got 2. And now he has 4 things over here where he's strength dominant, and he has 1 thing over here where he is speed dominant. So basically, one thing that's really cool that I heard another strength coach mention on the Proteus Motion podcast was to trust the data. And that really resonated with me because when I first got this machine, I didn't 100% trust it. Now I absolutely do. So you really got to look at this data and use it to dictate and drive the direction that you want to go with your training. So with this particular exercise, his elbow extension, we want to get him stronger. He doesn't have low foundational strength, but he's speed dominant. So we would pick loads where they're more high force. In other words, they would be heavy, so they would be slower if you were to measure those based off, let's say, meters per second, right? But then over here where he's strength dominant, again, that means he's not in low foundational strength. So he has enough strength, but he's not expressing his strength as rapidly as we would want. We want him to be able to express his strength faster, okay? So once he can express his strength faster, and the ratios are close, strength to speed and whatnot, then he would be over here, again, in this section that I'm saying, high strength and high speed, where ultimately you want as much as possible in there. So basically, if you look at an exercise where he's strength dominant down here, so this upper body horizontal push, he's 64 and 33. So it's quite a discrepancy between strength and speed. So ultimately, you want that 33 to catch up and get much closer to 64. And when there's not such a big discrepancy, when it gets close, that would put him over here in the green. So again, what you would do, and what's so cool about this is when you see something like this, now you know with strength dominant stuff, you're gonna pick loads that he could move at a faster velocity. Give you an example. Say you wanted to move at 0.6 to 0.8 meters per second for faster, velocities, as opposed to strength. Maybe you want to move him from 0.19 to 0.35 meters per second. So strength is velocity specific, okay? And that's the thing that's really interesting. So just because somebody's lifting a ton of weight, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get faster. And it doesn't necessarily mean just because you're strong, you're expressing your strength as fast as you should, if that makes sense.